Hello, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Welcome to the channel. Please like and subscribe where we help and heal one day at a time with daily videos. So basically, understanding is the first part of healing. And it's really important to kind of understand what's going on. So basically, your narcissist, it's kind of like they're a rock star. And they just crave that adoration. Usually when you're in a relationship, it's for love, but love to them is very uncomfortable. They don't know how to handle it, and they would rather be a rock star because it's so exciting to get all that adoration from as many people as possible than to have love from one particular person. And so they start acting like the stereotypical, not all are, but the stereotype of what a top rock star might be, where they start becoming selfish or they start wanting bigger concerts where they're more adored because they get that adrenaline rush app off of it. So it's not like in a nice, calm, caring relationship where you love each other. They just have this intense need to be the best of the best, whether it's the worst band, but they're talked about, or the best band. They just want to be talked about on people's minds all the time. And they have to have that. Otherwise, they just feel lost in life. And so sometimes if they're getting enough fuel from you or the new supply, it gets them by for a while. But kind of like those old bands that just kind of went away for 20 years. And then all of a sudden they have a new concert, I'm at loss for the word, where they come back, a comeback video, just because they're like, I just miss that. And they'll stay in relationships, whether it's for money or for things like that. So can they stay married? Sometimes that's something you kind of wonder, like, why did they marry somebody else when they promised me? What happened? Is the new supply happier? And they do have to complete that cycle where the devaluation comes in. So they might stay married, maybe it's for social status, but they're not staying for love. It might be for money, but they're not staying for love. And they'll do what they need to do to get by. But what's really confusing is when you try to talk to them, they love to keep us so off balance, because it's they have a need for control, an extreme need for control. And what's interesting is, as far as how they project things, they can kind of tell you what's going to happen in your relationship. Whether they kind of start accusing you of cheating, and it's like totally not warranted, where you're like, we've been on lockdown for 2 years, I haven't gone out of the house once, but they're saying stuff and it kind of makes you wonder, like, why are you saying that? um, they'll start accusing you of things that don't make sense. They'll go through your things, and for no reason, just to validate, to where they can't trust. So they're projecting onto you what they are feeling. So they feel they're untrustworthy. So they're saying you're not trustworthy. It's kind of like a reversal. It's trying to give them comfort, but it causes uncomfortable feelings in us. And when we try to communicate things, they just appease us. And that's not what a loving relationship is about. If they want to do a particular activity, they won't cancel. But if you guys make plans for your activity, they'll often cancel more often, just because they don't want to do it. Like, it's not a give and take. And what I noticed too in my relationship is, when we made plans, the plans were often broken, and often you didn't get a cancellation. But when there were no plans, they would just stop by. Um, it was like a control thing, or they also can be pretty fragile to where they don't set up things. When they know that they're driving to your house, they'll just show up and knock on your door if they see your car there, because they don't want to hear, no, I can't see you right now. They just make sure that you're not going to be able to say no, because they're going to knock on your door. They're going to know you're home. There's nobody else's car there. And their rage, is kind of interesting. Mine were never angry rage, but it's kind of like the temper tantrums that they would throw, whether I'm not talking to you, or some of them do get violent. They can be abusive and demeaning in the things that they say. So there's all different kinds of tantrums that they'll throw, but they do throw them. And it's because they're stuck in that juvenile mentality where they can't communicate. They can't communicate um, because they just don't know how. They never finished um, having enough trust in people to open their heart to be loved. So just like a child wants attention, instead of like being I don't know, handling it the right way, they throw a little temper tantrum and they instantly get good or bad responses out of us, whether, you know, maybe we snap back or we're like, fine, I'll go do the dishes. But they just controlled us to go do those dishes right now. And they're kind of parasites, just feeding off of our energy, our emotions. They don't care if our emotions are good or bad. Often, if let's say they want sex tonight, so they'll be nicer. They'll be nicer. Just because they want something, not because they're like, I really appreciate you today. Every now and then they know they kind of have to say certain things. Just, you know, they just know what it takes to have a healthy relationship, but they don't feel it. So they'll give us the breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs are talked about a lot. They give just enough to get by. They communicate just enough to get by. They promise just enough to get by. And the gaslighting circles that they put us through really keeps us off balance. And when we're off balance, they can control the um, way the conversation goes. Because we asked a direct question, they're not good at answering direct questions. They'll spin us around and give us answers that don't relate or answer, but in kind of like a confusing way, to where you might need to have clarification. And when you ask for clarification, they kind of get upset or offended and come back at you with what, don't you trust me? Or why can't you understand what I'm saying? As opposed to, this is what I'm trying to say. So we never have even just a closure in a conversation. So the more you go through that, like some of you are going through like the breakup stage and you want closure, like closure. And, you know, some of you might want to get back together. Some of you just, you know, want to understand it, but we haven't had closure in so long. And so many things have been left unclosed, all those conversations. And looking back, you know, like, could we have done something different? Or should I have accepted his answer? Or was I too needy? You're not too needy to communicate. That's what a relationship is. We were needing effective communication because I was always like, I don't care if you say yes, no, but like, you just don't answer. Like, I might be needy for what I want, and you're hoping, but I'll take a no, I'll take a yes, and it's just not closed. So you move on to the next day, then it just builds and builds and builds. And some of you got to that needle in the haystack, or the last straw, sorry, the last straw, and to where it just got too overwhelming, the straw that broke the camel's back. And some of you did leave. Some of you kind of felt like there's no hope. I've tried everything. And if you guys read across all these channels, all these people that have been in these relationships for decades, decades, and they just leave hurt, confused, sad, just discarded. And relationships should be able to be worked out, but can you work out a relationship with a narc? Because it's always temporary. They'll do what they need to get by, but without loving the person, like truly loving them. They just want to be that rock star. They just want you to adore them. You know, do you want to, do they really want to take those groupies out to dinner? Unless they can get something from the cute ones. They just discard, like, thanks for coming. I got your money. See ya. Hope you come again because I want some more of your money. And that's the best way I can kind of explain it, is they just crave that adoration. they need, it's like a drug. And that's what's exciting to them. It's not, she loves me, he loves me. It's like, yeah, I got the prettiest or the funniest or the most popular or somebody who really cleans my house great. So they look at the supply, what they get, and they often lie in odd ways. This is one of the other things to where we don't know what our reality is. So you start out in that love bombing stage, and um, there's there's no baggage. So it's fun. They go over the top, so you feel like a princess or a prince, and then they start saying like dumb little lies, like, "Oh, did you have a good lunch today?" And they're like, "Yeah, I had macaroni and cheese." And you're like, "Oh." And then later they're like, "I hate macaroni. I never eat that." Or, "I haven't had macaroni and cheese in 6 years." And you're like, "You just had it at lunch the other day." And does it matter? Like, I don't care what you had. You know, especially if the person doesn't have health issues where you're checking, did you have a hot fudge sundae today? If it's just food, like, it doesn't matter. Eat what you want. And so it's just so hard that they need that instant gratification. They also need that control. And it's just because of their mental state. They were hurt in some way or neglected in some way to where they weren't able to cross over that obstacle. And I had given an example in another video where I did a back handspring and hit my head like really bad. And I will never try it again by myself, ever. Um, no matter what, I hit it that bad. And that's where they're at with love. I'm not going to try love. I am not going to try it. It is not worth it to me. Um, so they just, my safety net, just live life. Don't do back handsprings. Their safety net, just live life, don't love. And they still have needs though. Like, everybody has needs. It's nice to be around people, and they're just so hurt inside that they're trying to compensate. That's why they often have to have as much fuel, whether it's in intensity or in numbers. So if the intensity is enough from the new supply, they're happy. When that intensity goes down, then that's when they start to devalue. Like, you're not doing what I needed. I have to go find some more fuel, whether it's full-fledged fuel or just a couple gallons, where the Hoovers start, because they have to go keep that level at that extreme intensity. Otherwise, they just start feeling uncomfortable. And this is just personal for me. I held on to the relationship because I had invested so much based on promises for years upon years upon years without really uh, an adequate payoff. So the way that the balance was kept me being anxious for years. Like, are we going to do this? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do this? And it got it where it rewires your brain. Just the little breadcrumbs you get, you're like, oh, finally some relief. Or, okay, cool, we're still going to do this. And then you wait and you get anxious. Like, I'm trying to be polite and not be annoying. And then you start to get annoying. Then you start going into this panic mode where it's like, I know I'm being annoying right now. Please forgive me. And then when you do that, you're devalued because, you know, you were anxious, you asked for an apology, which means you're the meek one. And they actually resent us walking on eggshells because they see it as something that they're doing wrong. Like, they'll pick up on us. We're trying to be respectful, but it also shows them that they're doing something wrong in the relationship to kind of have us tippy toe around. We're trying to make them happy. We're a little confused, like, what's safe to say? How do I handle this? I'm trying to do the right thing, but they feel, even if it's just really minute, they'll feel us going off kilter. And so they take it as an offense, as opposed to, that's so sweet. I understand you're trying. They're like, what is wrong with you? Or they start like cutting you down the way they talk to you, as opposed to, do you just need a hug right now? Like, I can tell you're having a bad day. Or, yeah, all right, I'll put this down. We could talk. Or, as soon as I'm done with this, we can have our discussion, as opposed to, what's wrong with you? How many times do we have to talk about this? You're like, obviously, I think we need to still talk about it. That's why I'm bringing it up. And if they would give us direct answers. We wouldn't be in this cycle. So understanding narcissism has helped me. It's a long road. My adrenaline, I physically ache. I feel off. I feel dizzy. I can like handle the situation, but it changed my body chemistry that I am so uncomfortable in my body. And it's like almost like an electric field. Zaps are going off in me. It's kind of like maybe a panic attack, but it happens all the time where you're like, you wake up and you're like my body just doesn't feel good. And I know what the situation is. I've come to grips with it, this, that, but it's like this adrenaline rush. I was trained to be in that high state of adrenaline rush for years, just on the unbalance that it like aches. It aches. And it's not an ache over the love or the wanting to be with the person, because I'll be honest, I'm still in love deeply, but that's not where the pain's coming from. The pain is not coming from the longingness of the relationship. The pain is like residual. Um, it's the damage, the smoldering fire that it's just not going out. And it it understanding what can happen. I know some of us, like, you want to get back with that person. You miss the love bombing, or you feel you did something wrong. So you're here for some of us for answers like, how do I make this work? Or will they hoover? And, are they going to break up with the new supply? Will they come back to me? They'll probably come back to you. They'll come back to you, but will they stay? Are they going to stay with this new supply? Unfortunately, until time passes, I can't prove it to you. Some will stay because of the benefits, and it just depends on what benefits are important to them. Is it the money? Is it this? Is it that? Whatever the benefit is, they're not staying for the love from the new supply. But some will come back. But will they stay with the new supply? Time will tell. Time will tell. Sometimes it is whether the new supply gets fed up, because read the comments. There are people who stayed 20, 30, there's like 40 years of marriage. And the person's like, I just filed for divorce. And you're thinking, I don't know how old you are or how healthy you are, but a 40-year marriage, they could be 60, 70 years old. And they're like, I can't take it anymore. And that's like really sad to go through your whole life, building a life with someone, and then looking back on 20, 30, 40 years and just, the discard, like they won't even have dinner with you with the grandkids, at your child's house, a neutral place. They won't talk to you. They won't acknowledge you. And you're like, we were together 40 years and you can't even like just say hi. Like, that's how devalued you got. Whether you stay friends or don't stay friends, but normally you would think after living with someone for 40 years and you part ways, that their ego is just too hurt. Their ego's too hurt. And they'll probably say, you made me leave if they leave. That is all your fault, as opposed to we fell apart, or I could have done this better and I'm sorry. I see why you're leaving. But they'll put it on you. So you have such a burden already from the whole relationship. Now you got this burden of feeling, they think everything was my fault, but I tried as hard as I could. And every time you try, they bring you in that circle. And every time you try, like I said, it's you walking on eggshells. You're meek. And there's no balance, because you can't demand things either. You can't say, you need to do this, you need to change. So there's no balance. There's no way out of this cycle. So it just keeps going round and round because there is no solution to it. And they're kind of like the little spoiled brats where they don't think about what they say, so they can hurt us. They can be very devaluing, and it's weird how they have learned how to use word choices to get things. Where, if I was a narc, I could be like, well, you know, you probably don't think I'm pretty anyways. And then, oh no, you are, you're beautiful. And so I'm like, yeah, okay. So I got my ego stroked, as opposed to just going through life and get dressed up and they say something or whatever. But just how unsettling the whole relationship gets, and it doesn't get better. A lot of people have gotten into like where they work things out. And then it's just a cycle again. You think you're in the safety net, like, oh, we finally figured it out. But until you deal with those issues, it's just going to keep repeating, and they can't deal with those issues because just like me hitting my head, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not. Just like them, I'm not going to cross over into the world of true love, open myself up. I'm already too vulnerable, just like my head hurt too much, their heart um, just, it would hurt them. Or it's too scary. I could probably do a back handspring and be okay, but I'm too scared. And that's what they're like. They just want to be that rock star because, you know, you could have 100 people right now. 100 people love you. And that's nice. That's nice. 100 people love you. But to them, they're like, 100 people think I'm amazing. 100 people are talking about me. 100 people can't wait to see me. 100 people adore me. 100 people will pay to see me. They'll do this, they'll do that. And to them, that's more exciting to them. Yeah, I wouldn't even doubt it if they really were rock stars. They, you know, I'm just going to leave my family because I want to go do that. They don't look at the full picture because they're so self-centered and they're so confusing. But what I find so interesting is there are some variations as far as how the rage goes, their little games. Some of them, you know, it's not always about sex. Most of them do have like porn addictions. I just came across something I'm going to research because is the narcissist actually like a closet gay? And then they're kind of talking about maybe it's basically they just might keep it hidden. And I'd like to know if you guys have any insight on that, because I'm thinking about doing a video on that deeper. It was a little confusing on if they're just wanting adoration from anybody, physical, whatever. So comment below, because there's like some comments and I'm interested on that one. So basically I'll sum it up, that, you know, we can't change them. We can't change our own situation. Our relationship with them, we try to change it. We just want love. We just want love, you know. And even if they adored us, okay, we get flowers every day. Okay. They brought me chocolates, but I just want you to sit on the couch with me. I just want you to talk to me. I want you to snuggle up to me instead of put your arm over me. We want the love. And you know, you can't change them. You can't change the relationship no matter how hard you try. It's only going to be for just a little while. And you can change your path. You can change your path in life. So comment below, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good day.